concentrate on the cooperatives. And this is more or less the framework, and this applies for non-life insurance as well as life insurance. And the cooperative has, this is new, has the power to provide all services. So not only insurance, it's non-life, life, financial services at all, loan and so on. And this is actually the content of the framework.
Thank you. Who wants to pick up on some of the other questions? Dr. Ramani?
Just adding to about the cost towards insurance. Somebody will have to bear the cost, as Thomas said. Because once we talk in terms of adaptation, the insurance product may not be a new concept, but the way it is responding, that is new. They are going towards more of weather-related products. That is more important. And then they are trying to analyze the data both backwards and forwards. And I think Mr. Rajesh also now they are projecting forward, isn't it? That's the kind of changes which is happening in the insurance sector. But what we'll be interested is, as you said, how we are going to design the product so that it benefits the poor. And then when the costs are involved, how we are going to distribute the cost. Cost sharing, that is what is important.
Colleen?
I'll pick up the question asked by Dr. Satya. That's basically the climate change versus the vis-a-vis the insurability of weather risk. Simply put it, insurance cannot insure a contingency which is for certain and which can be prevented with reasonable effort and foresight. So coming to you also mentioned it may not be a change, it may be mere variability. And we have a lot of it calling it, kind of the epochal kind of trends. It's not exactly change. So for us, I think the comfort is that it's not changing overnight. So it's a gradual. So therefore, I think end of every season we are looking at it and we are able to adjust the triggers. So to some extent, we are trying to take care of that kind of what you call a change of variability. We're going to infuse that into the product. And secondly, the most important mechanism for insurance to succeed is what we call, we use the law of large numbers, basically. You have to have a larger volume and you have to have a larger spread, geographical spread of the risk. In case of weather, basically, we have seen reinsurers are doing, basically they are trying to mix the risk of North America and with Indian risk, because they know that it might happen North America, but India may be safe and vice versa. So they're basically trying to bring the regions which are different so that they're able to get a good spread of the risk. So these are some of the ways in India being a large country. For example, your IPCC projection says that, for example, Jharkhand, the rainfall is likely to go down. But we also have seen there are some other regions where the rainfall is going to go up. If you're giving a rainfall-based cover, we know that we can't, if you're doing in Jharkhand alone, I know that we are for a shock. Therefore, we are trying to bring a kind of, trying to mix the risk and pool the risk from different regions so that for us, we will be able to minimize that kind of shocks we are expecting. So these are some of the ways we have to look at the insurable tangle.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question from the floor, I think, and then give each of the panelists a minute to sum up. Yep, at the back.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Talaybek Makeyev, an Executive Director of the Regional Environmental Center for Central Asia. I fully agree with the previous comment on the, and so over there really not so much to do with the market-based mechanisms and adaptations. These mechanisms are usual market mechanisms, and so tomorrow we can come to the situation when we are talking about possible consequences that the, and so development of, let's say, property development, multi-store property development will be the well-designed adaptation measure against the floods. And so that's why, and so the solution should be, and so then in well integration of mitigation and adaptation measures. If we find over there some real market benefits and mechanisms, that will be, and so really, and so then some way to advance. And so then go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask each of our panelists, perhaps in the opposite way to how we started, just to sum up for 1 minute and answer that comment or any others that you want to. Dr. Ramani?
I think, picking up from the last comment, I think in general, there appears to be some kind of feeling that we have to come out with something novel, when we are talking of either microfinance or insurance. And it may be, related to designing the products and then looking forward, what kind of change, we are foreseeing, and then how we can come out with some novel products, which we can relate to climate change adaptation. At the same time, it should be applicable to the conditions, and we have to take into consideration the kind of the complexity of the situation, which Mr. Rao has pointed out. In a country like India, for example, varying climates are there. It's not easy, whether it is modeling or designing of products. It's even making forecasts. Even short-term forecasts are very difficult, and long-term forecasts are all the more difficult.
Thank you. Rajesh?
As we see going forward, I see geographic information technologies playing a very key role, not only in the product design and risk quantification, where they were mostly used, but also in measuring performance of various programs and being an effective tool in doing post-implementation analytics and fine-tuning of product for future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas?
A lot has been said at the moment regarding risk transfer mechanism. I very much appreciated the last comment, and we should see the whole approach as a comprehensive approach. So I see it as my personal attitude as well, but also for the Munich Re's perspective. We would love to work together with institutions operating on risk mitigation tools and try to find some solution also from the financing part, so embedding loans and so on, and at the end to consider risk transfer mechanism. At the moment, each and every industry is doing his part, but we have to interact more and more together to find a solution in a comprehensive way. This is the most efficient and best efficient way, and I hope that we can discuss later on and we find some groups to come together and to find a solution in this way. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Collie?
I would like to summarize by basically drawing up how what is the way forward from the agriculture insurance point of view. First point is basically, given that this region agriculture significantly contributes to the GDP, and we have a very small size farm holdings, and the farmers are rather poor. So it's the index insurance which is a solution, and depending upon the availability of historical data, we have three kinds of indices. If you have the yield data, we can go for yield index. If you don't have yield index, you can think of a weather index. If you don't have either of these, maybe the third index you can look is basically the kind of satellite imagery based index, which could either be based on the precipitation or the NDVI. And in fact, in India, we are trying a double trigger products. So that's what the index. And secondly, coming to the support mechanisms, given that the government in this particularly region is putting a lot of effort and a lot of money into the ad hoc relief, it's a time that these governments move away from this ad hoc disaster relief to a structured crop insurance solution. So therefore, there's no data funds for subsidizing the premiums or creating the necessary infrastructure. And on the transaction costs, I believe that, yes, if you link it to the credit and use the existing infrastructure of the government sources, like the data from the public sources, I think, and also the technology, technology can really help, in designing a good product and also in servicing at a lower cost. So we'll be able to reduce our transaction cost. So I believe, of course, the increased density of the weather stations the government has to do. So with these, I think it's quite possible that the index insurance could be effectively used as an important adaptation strategy in mitigating the climate change risk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll end the way we started with our provocateur. So Mireille, did we answer your questions?
I think partially, but if I may, just to conclude on a provoking note again, I think it's true that we do need to think about the long-term issues and about the long-term adaptation, but one of the questions that keeps coming back and that I can't find an answer to is whether or not, when we are helping to address current variability, aren't we setting communities and government on the right track towards addressing long-term climate change? And in that sense, don't the market mechanisms that were presented here and essentially critiqued as being business as usual, aren't they also conducive towards long-term adaptation, gradual and incremental? I guess that's my concluding question.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we had lots of really interesting questions during that session. I don't think we answered all of Mireille's questions, but I think some of those questions are probably not answerable at the moment because this is a long-term phenomenon. So I'd like to finish on time. I was asked to finish on time. I think we've achieved that. And I'd like for you to join me in thanking our provocateur and thanking our 4 other panelists for what was a very interesting session. Thank you very much.